How's it going? My name is Chris.
And I'm Aaron.
And this is the Fleet Brothers podcast.
And on today's episode, we're going to be introducing ourselves to you, talk about why we are making the show, and our background on both of us, background on the company that we started together called Arslan Fleet, and basically what to expect moving forward with the show.
Cool. Awesome. So I guess first things first, why are we making this show, Aaron?
Yeah, so basically we started up Arslan Fleet. Honestly, it's a pretty new company, less than 6 months ago. And we wanted to use this show to kind of build our platform and express our expertise in the Turo landscape. And so, we decided that this would be a great way to get our information out there.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped because this is a good way to do kind of two different things. One, obviously, reach new audience, reach new potential customers, but also people that maybe are a little bit more eager to do, Turo or rental fleets. They can use this content and hopefully take it and run with it and, build your own company, build your own rental car company, or really any other kind of, we have a bunch of different passive incomes, and we're going to be having people on that make income in a variety of different ways. So hopefully you can take something from it and either use it as inspiration or use it as kind of like a guidance to building your own business. Or if you don't want to do that and you already have other ways that you're making money, great. Reach out to us and we're happy to help you make some money on Turo and making money through rental cars.
Yeah, and I think this is this episode or this show in general is going to be good for pretty much any business owner trying to build a company, because we're going to be talking about how we did it from the bottom up. So if you're not necessarily running a rental car company or a Turo business, then you're going to be able to use what we talk about to apply it to your business as well. I mean, we go through everything. We've hired our first employee. We have advertised on social media. We have gotten our accounting, our bookkeeping straightened up, which was a mess. And everything we're doing here is basically just, building a small business from the ground up. Yeah. And it just so happens that we rent out cars on Turo.
Yeah. No, super excited to kind of share our journey, learn from our mistakes, and also learn from areas that we've kind of been able to succeed, and you do with it what you want. And, excited for that. I guess a little background on, let's start with you, Aaron, if you want to kind of give us a background on who you are and kind of how we got to this point.
Cool. So I went to Virginia Tech, hence the shirt. And at Virginia Tech, I did a few different internships and worked in Detroit for a bit. I actually worked at Ford Motor Company, so that's kind of how I got into the car industry. While I was at Ford, I was doing a little bit of research on, where the whole car industry was going. That's how I stumbled across the Turo platform, actually, and kind of got me thinking about it. It wasn't until I started my next job at ADP, which you got me into. Thank you very much. And while I was at ADP, I kind of started it during the peak of the pandemic, and wanted an out. And so what better way than to buy a $40,000 car and start renting it on the platform. And it just so happened that buying that car was a great decision. And I started making money on Turo by renting it out. Shortly after, bought a second car and quit my job.
Hell yeah. And I guess kind of going off of that, so kind of going back from the beginning, Aaron kind of glossed over our high school, middle school years where we actually built a longboard company. So if you don't know what a longboard is, it's essentially like a skateboard, like an oversized skateboard. So we will definitely talk about that in later episodes because that was a pretty cool experience that we got to do. So we built a company, a little longboarding company in high school or middle school and high school. And then I was also doing on the side, I was doing e-commerce. So I was selling things on eBay, Etsy, Amazon, doing different drop shipping options and also manufacturing. I actually had some products were getting imported from Pakistan and China, and so I was selling those online. That's actually how I helped pay for pretty much all of my college, was doing essentially drop shipping and eBay and Etsy and Amazon sales. And then in college, decided to start doing a lot more like video production and photography. So I was doing that as well during college. So actually in between my junior and senior year of college, didn't get an internship, decided just to try and start my own company. So I was trying to start essentially like a photography, media, videography company. And I didn't know anything about sales. And so at the time, I like sucked at sales. I sucked at like just running a company on my own. And so after that, I was like, screw this. I need to learn how to sell. I need to learn how to like talk to people. I need to learn how to run a business. So instead of going off and becoming an entrepreneur right out of college, I decided to listen to all my professors, which in hindsight might have not been the smartest decision. But
for some people it works.
Yeah. And so got a job at a marketing agency where I was doing like everything from sales to marketing to account management. It was awful. I'll talk about that probably on a later episode, but that was a brutal job. Totally underpaid, slightly taken advantage of a little bit, but we'll save that for another day. Then from there, went to ADP, which Aaron was talking about. Had a lot of success there. Got to go on a lot of free trips, and won a lot of awards. It was a great time, great experience on how to actually like run your own business, run sales, and ADP. We're selling HR, benefits, and accounting tools. And so we're kind of like our own boss running our business. And so it was a really good experience there. From there, built out a sales team at a company. And in between kind of ADP and building out my own sales team at a startup, ended up acquiring a bunch of rental properties. So I have a handful of rental properties, some long-term, some short-term rentals. But then Aaron called me out of the blue and was like, hey, I just quit my job. And I was like, what? You're an idiot. You just quit your job?
That's a big day.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, just quit my job, and I'm going to do Turo full-time, renting cars out. And I was like, you're an idiot. Like, you didn't listen to anything that Dad taught us.
Yep.
You didn't listen to anything your professors told you. So anyways, I was like, Aaron, send me all your numbers. I want to look at them. And so I was looking at them, comparing them to the S&P 500, comparing them to my rental property. And I was like, damn, this is a pretty profitable business.
Yeah.
And so not shortly after, ended up getting my first car. And literally the day I bought my first car was the day I quit my job, or the next day I quit my job.
Yeah.
And haven't looked back since. So, yeah, it's been pretty fun. I guess you want to talk about kind of why we started Arslan Fleet?
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, when I was getting into Turo, there was a big learning curve. I had to learn everything from the ground up. So what car am I going to get? Where am I going to park these cars? How am I going to have them cleaned? All the questions that, if you've looked into Turo, it's all the questions that you're asking yourself. Like, how do I do all this stuff? Like, it's a lot when you kind of put it down on paper. And so over the course of time, I figured out, the best way to optimize all these different things, deal with damage even, and all that stuff. And you got a really good process down that we can be pretty hands-off with. And it's kind of allowed us to take on a lot more customers and a lot more cars as we go. And so we originally were thinking, hey, let's do a coaching course where we're going to hold the hands of all of our clients and help them build their Turo business just like we did and just like I did with my first cars. If I had that at the very start,
it would have been a lot easier.
It would have been a lot easier.
A lot of money saved, a lot of mistakes not made.
Yeah, a whole different experience. But I will say I wouldn't trade it for anything because it kind of got us to this point where we have kind of pioneered our own path. Yeah. And I know a lot of people do things a lot of different ways, but I personally think that we do it the best way.
We do it pretty damn well.
We do it well. And so at this point, what we're doing with Arslan Fleet is we look for people who want to invest in a vehicle and purchase it. You can be a big thing that people think is they have to be in Denver with us when they're buying a car and putting it on the platform and having us manage it. You don't, because we're in Denver. That's why you don't have to be. So we've had a few investors that are just completely out of the state, something like Nebraska, Vegas, that have purchased cars. We've had them shipped to us, and then we are managing them on our platform, and they're just collecting money. So rather than them building out a whole business where they have to deal with car warranties, insurance, deal with damage to their car. We do all of that for them, and it's completely taken off their hand, but they're still making good money off of renting the cars through us.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a pretty fun process up to this point. I guess as far as kind of what to expect with this show, obviously this is just kind of our intro show, kind of introduce you to us, who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it. But as far as what to expect, the goal is, as we were saying before at the beginning, is to kind of show you and have you kind of look under the hood as we are growing our business to the point we've got it today, and as we grow. So excited to kind of share our journey as we're building up. And probably, every so often we're going to be having different entrepreneurs on, some in the Turo space, some in the car rental space, some in the house rental space, some in YouTubers, other podcasters. So the goal is just to have a whole variety of different entrepreneurs on this show. We're getting from doing this business, we've been able to meet a lot of really cool, crazy people that would love to share your story or share, their story with you guys. And we've been learning a lot from them. I mean, literally one of the guests we're probably going to have on here in a few weeks is somebody that we paid $6,000 just to teach us how to start our business up from scratch.
And now he's an investor.
Yeah, and now he's an investor. Both of them are investors. So we'll probably have them on soon. We have a podcaster, a pretty famous podcaster coming on here, hopefully in the coming weeks. So we got a lot of cool shows lined up. Probably be about every other episode or so. Some of them will just be us talking about, specific Turo experience that we're kind of running into, and how you can, grow with us and learn on your own. But we'll also try and have some cool people on as well. So stay tuned. I think for next week's episode, we're going to be going into specifically Aaron's first car that he bought, which was a Jeep Wrangler, his experience in getting it, setting it up, all the crap that you did wrong.
There's a lot.
And I guess why you decided to keep going. But excited to kind of share that story on next week's podcast. So again, my name's Chris.
And I'm Aaron.
And this is the Fleet Brothers Podcast.